All right, so get this. We're diving into gay bars,
Ew. Okay.
but not just like for the drinks or the scene.
Right.
We're going deeper, like how these places become what researchers actually call gay space.
Interesting.
I got this academic thesis. It's called Just Like Me, Gay Men in Gay Space.
Okay.
And it's focused on a real bar in St. Louis called Clementine's.
Clementine.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
I haven't, but St. Louis, of course.
Yeah, it's like the oldest gay bar in the city.
Wow, the oldest.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this prime example
Yeah, that makes sense.
of how a place can be more than just a bar, you know?
Yeah, and Clementine's becomes like this really fascinating case study because it's so much more than just like a place to grab a beer.
Right.
Like for some people, it's a social hub
Yeah.
or a refuge, even like a family room.
And the thesis really digs into that, right?
Yes.
It describes like the bar's layout.
Okay.
Like they've got the central square bar,
Uh-huh.
the pool table, always drawing a crowd,
Oh.
dartboards, even an attached cafe.
Wow.
It's like each zone has its own vibe,
Oh,
its
interesting.
own little social ecosystem.
Yeah, I love that.
You know what I mean?
I do. And what's so interesting is how the author really picks up on the little details.
Yeah.
Like the worn down bar stools,
Right.
the dim lighting, even a Miss Pac-Man machine that like nobody plays.
Yeah.
It's all these things that contribute to Clementine's unique atmosphere.
Okay, so picture this. You're a young gay man,
Okay.
maybe in the 70s or 80s,
Oh, right.
and society is like telling you who you are is wrong,
Right.
even dangerous.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, the thesis really captures that feeling of fear so well.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that they interview for this talk about those early experiences.
Yeah.
The clandestine hookups in parks and restrooms,
Right.
all because being openly gay was just too risky.
It's hard to even imagine living with that level of secrecy, right?
Yeah,
Like having to hide such a fundamental part of yourself.
absolutely. And that's what makes the whole concept of gaydar so fascinating to me.
Gaydar.
Yeah,
You mean like...
like being able to sense another gay person. Yeah, it's this debated ability, but the thesis suggests it developed as like a way to adapt to that environment of fear.
Right.
Imagine needing to find connection and safety
Yeah.
in a world where being yourself could have like serious consequences.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Suddenly, like, finding people just like me
Right.
isn't just like a desire. It's almost a survival strategy.
Totally.
And I guess that's where places like Clementine's came in.
Exactly. The thesis really emphasizes that this need goes way beyond just finding partners.
Yeah.
It's about seeking validation, a sense of community, people who truly understand your experiences.
And get this, the author points out that gay bars became even more important
Oh, wow.
when police started cracking down on cruising spots
Oh, right.
in parks and restrooms, pushing people towards the bars.
It's almost ironic, right? The crackdown on more hidden spaces made gay bars already important,
Right.
even more central to gay life.
The thesis shares this story about a guy named Tom,
Okay.
describing his first time in a packed gay bar. He's feeling all these eyes on him.
Oh, wow.
Then this other guy just smiles and says hi.
Oh,
And suddenly, Tom felt like he belonged.
that's so sweet.
Like a silent, you're safe here.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Totally. That need to belong, to find your tribe,
Yeah.
that's a theme that runs through so many of the interviews.
And speaking of tribes, the thesis mentions the work of anthropologist Kath Weston,
Okay,
who talks about how gay people often create their own families of choice,
right.
especially when their biological families don't accept them.
That concept is crucial.
Yeah.
When your own family might not understand or accept you,
Right.
finding that support elsewhere becomes even more vital.
It's true. And a lot of the people interviewed in the thesis about Clementine's
Yeah.
really echo that idea.
Yeah. They describe the bar as their family room,
Yeah.
where they find the acceptance and support they may not have anywhere else.
It's like they can finally let their guard down and just be themselves.
Absolutely. It's incredibly powerful.
There's this really poignant quote from Dave, who was closeted and married at the time.
Wow.
He talks about feeling more intimacy and connection with the guys at the bar who understood him
Oh, wow.
than he did with his own wife.
Wow.
It really makes you think.
It really does.
Right.
It challenges that traditional idea of what family means.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Clementine's becomes this chosen family
Yeah.
for a lot of its patrons.
Yeah.
And honestly, that makes the bar even more fascinating to me.
Me too.
Going beyond just the drinks and the social scene.
Absolutely. You're right. And while it is the space that offers refuge and connection, it's not a utopia.
What do you mean?
Well, it points out that even in a gay bar,
Yeah.
you see the same social divisions that exist in the wider world.
Oh, right.
Race, class.
Age?
Mhm.
It's all there.
I remember reading about that. It's like Clementine's is diverse in terms of social class,
Yeah.
but it's predominantly white.
Right.
And that leads to some uncomfortable dynamics according to the thesis.
Exactly. The author mentions the use of terms like snow queen and dinge queen,
Oh, wow.
highlighting the complexities of race and desire within this space.
Right.
It's a reminder that even within a community,
Yeah.
preferences and biases exist.
And that's not all. The thesis also talks about this generational divide at Clementine's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the older regulars versus the younger, often rowdier weekend regulars
Oh, wow.
who are drawn to the cheap drinks.
Oh,
Like two different worlds colliding.
Totally.
And the author unpacks how ageism exists even within the LGBTQ community.
It's true.
Bars end up catering to different needs
Yeah.
based on age and lifestyle.
Absolutely.
There's this quote that really stuck with me. Elliot, one of the older regulars,
Okay.
talks about his disdain for what he calls the lowest of Soulard conditions.
Ooh. On the back patio during those wild weekend nights.
Oh, wow.
You know?
It's a stark reminder that even in seemingly inclusive spaces,
Yeah,
our perceptions and judgments based on age can create real divisions.
that's true.
It's something for all of us to consider, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever encountered ageism, even in communities you consider welcoming?
Yeah, I know I have.
It's a question worth pondering.
And it's interesting how this deep dive into Clementine's
Yeah.
is revealing all these layers of complexity,
Uh-oh.
not just about gay bars,
Mm-hmm.
but about the human need to belong,
Yeah.
to connect,
Right.
and to navigate the differences that can both unite and divide us.
Absolutely.
Definitely more than just a night out,
More than just a night out? You said it.
that's for sure.
And there's so much more to uncover about how this specific bar,
Yeah.
this gay space, functions.
Mm-hmm.
The thesis is packed with fascinating details and insights.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's dive back in.
All right.
Okay, so we've established that Clementine's is more than just a bar. It's a refuge, a family room,
Right.
even a microcosm of some of society's complexities.
Absolutely.
But the thesis also highlights this generational gap,
Yeah.
right? This tension between the older regulars and the younger crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, what were those early days like?
Yeah.
For the guys who came of age before being gay was more accepted.
Yeah. Imagine a time when homosexuality was widely considered a mental illness,
Right.
a taboo subject.
Yeah.
Many of those older regulars likely felt immense pressure
Uh-huh.
to conform, to get married, have kids,
Mhm.
live a straight life,
Yeah.
even if it meant denying who they truly were.
It's heartbreaking, honestly,
It is.
to think about living with that kind of internal conflict,
Yeah.
that constant fear of being exposed.
Right.
No wonder those early gay bars like Clementine's back in the 70s and 80s
Mm-hmm.
became such vital lifelines.
Absolutely. These spaces weren't just about socializing.
Right.
They were about survival, about finding a place where you could finally exhale, be yourself,
Yeah.
without the fear of judgment or persecution.
I remember the thesis mentioned those early bars were often pretty discreet,
Yes.
with blacked out windows or hidden locations.
Right.
Such a contrast to today, where many gay bars are much more open and visible.
That shift towards visibility reflects a hard-won cultural shift,
Uh-huh.
but it's important to remember that it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
It took decades of activism, advocacy,
Yeah.
and countless individuals bravely coming out
Yeah.
and demanding to be seen and heard.
And even with all the progress we've made,
Yeah.
that fight for recognition isn't over, is it?
Sadly, no.
I mean, LGBTQ plus rights are still under attack in many parts of the world,
It's crazy.
even here in the US.
Yeah,
It makes you realize how important these safe spaces still are.
they are. The struggle for equality is far from over.
Right.
And that's why spaces like gay bars continue to hold such significance, especially for those who might not feel safe or accepted in their everyday lives.
So while the social context might have changed,
Right.
those core human needs,
Yes.
belonging, connection, understanding, they're still very much present.
Exactly. And while younger generations might have more options for finding those connections, those spaces still offer a unique and valuable sense of community,
Yeah.
a shared history that's woven into the very walls.
Speaking of those walls,
Okay.
the thesis spends a lot of time describing the physical space of Clementine's, doesn't it?
It does.
All those details about the layout, the atmosphere.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Those details aren't just descriptive flourishes.
Right.
They offer insights into how the space functions,
Uh-huh.
how people interact within it.
Like how the Central Square bar allows patrons to see the whole room,
Right.
to sync the scene, almost like a panopticon of social dynamics.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
But you're right. The design encourages observation, connection. You're constantly aware of the other people in the space,
Right.
which can foster a sense of shared experience of being part of something bigger than yourself.
And then there's the pool table, which the thesis describes as this hub of activity.
Oh, yes. The pool table.
And, well, let's just say it can be a bit of a cruising spot.
It's fascinating how certain spaces within a bar can become almost ritualistic.
Oh, yeah?
The pool table becomes a stage for displays of masculinity skill
Right.
and, of course, flirtation.
I loved how the thesis described the pool cues and balls becoming props
Right.
in this unspoken language of innuendo and suggestive glances.
Yeah.
It's almost like a performance, isn't it?
It is, and it highlights how these spaces aren't just about drinking or socializing. They're
Mhm.
also about sexual expression and exploration,
Right.
all within the context of shared understanding and acceptance.
Then there's the back patio home of the legendary wet jockey shorts contest.
Ah, yes, the back patio.
Those really speak to the energy of the younger crowd that takes over on the weekends.
The patio is almost like a liminal space, a
Mhm.
place where the energy shifts.
Yeah.
Inhibitions are lowered, the music gets louder,
Mhm.
and the atmosphere becomes more overtly sexual.
The thesis even mentions the urinals in the men's restroom,
Okay.
describing them as quite close quarters. It sounds almost comical.
Right. Even in that seemingly private space,
Yeah.
social anxieties and norms come into play. The thesis describes this intricate dance men perform,
Okay.
avoiding certain urinals, trying not to make eye contact, all while navigating this unspoken code of cruising and etiquette.
It's funny, but also a little sad.
Yeah.
It shows how even in a space designed for gay men,
Right.
anxieties around sexuality and masculinity persist.
You've hit on a crucial point. Even within a space designed for acceptance, those ingrained societal pressures and expectations can still exert a powerful influence.
That makes me think about the concept of families of choice again.
Yes.
The thesis really emphasizes how those early experiences of coming out, facing potential rejection from family and society,
Right.
can shape the way gay men form relationships.
The idea of families of choice is so powerful,
Yeah.
especially in the context of LGBTQ history,
Right.
when your biological family might not understand or accept you.
Yeah.
Finding that love and support elsewhere becomes absolutely essential for survival.
I think Clementine's becomes an example of that.
It does. A
Yeah.
lot of patrons describe it as their family room,
Right.
a place where they feel seen, accepted, loved, even without judgment.
It's the incredible thing about chosen families.
Yeah.
They can provide a level of emotional depth and connection that sometimes even transcends traditional kinship.
Absolutely.
I keep thinking about Dave, the closeted married man from the thesis,
Right.
who found more intimacy with the guys at Clementine's than with his own wife.
Yeah. It really makes you re-examine what family actually means.
It really does.
Yeah.
It speaks to the deep human need for connection and the importance of finding your tribe, your chosen family, wherever that might be.
Yeah.
But, and this is where things get even more interesting.
Oh, I sense a but coming.
What is it?
Well, even chosen families, even spaces designed for acceptance, aren't without their complexities. The thesis doesn't shy away from that at all.
You're right. It talks about how even within Clementine's there are divisions and tensions,
Exactly.
the racial dynamics, the generational clashes.
Yes.
That's like a microcosm of the wider world in some ways.
That's the paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
We seek out these spaces to find people just like me.
Right.
But the reality is that even within a shared community, individual differences and societal biases can still create challenges. It makes you wonder, how do we reconcile this desire for belonging with the reality of difference?
That's a big question, one that's probably worth exploring further.
Absolutely.
Really curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay.
Is it even possible to create truly inclusive spaces
Yeah.
while still honoring individual differences?
Right.
What do you think? So we're like grappling with this idea
Yeah.
that even in spaces like Clementine's,
Right.
designed for a specific community, there are still these layers of difference, these tensions and complexities. It's like the quest for belonging runs headfirst
Yeah.
into the reality of being human.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Right.
And it's a question that resonates far beyond the walls of any single bar.
Uh-huh.
It's about the very nature of community of belonging.
Right.
We gravitate towards shared identities,
Yeah.
but we also bring all our individual experiences, perspectives.
Yeah.
You could even say our baggage.
Totally. And sometimes that baggage leads to friction,
Right.
even when everyone's supposed to be on the same team.
Yeah.
I mean, look at those generational clashes at Clementine's.
Right.
It's not like those younger guys were trying to be disruptive,
Right.
but their energy just rubbed some of the older regulars the wrong
Nope.
way.
That's the fascinating part, isn't it? Those generational differences aren't just about personal preferences or music choices.
Right.
They reflect broader social and historical shifts.
Uh-huh.
Those older regulars came of age in a time when being openly gay was incredibly risky.
Right.
While younger generations have grown up with more acceptance, more visibility,
Yeah.
their expectations for what a gay bar should be are naturally going to differ.
Makes me wonder if maybe part of the tension comes from the older generation
Yeah.
feeling like their space, their refuge is changing
Mm-hmm.
in ways they don't always understand or appreciate.
Right.
It's like they're protective of what Clementine's represents to them.
There's definitely an element of that.
Yeah.
It's about protecting a shared history,
Right.
a sense of continuity.
Yeah.
But it also speaks to a larger question.
Okay.
How do communities evolve without alienating the very people who helped build them?
Right.
How do you honor tradition while also embracing change?
So how do we navigate that?
Yes.
How do we create spaces that are truly inclusive, that welcome everyone, while still acknowledging that just like me has so many different interpretations?
Yeah,
Is that even possible?
that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a single right answer.
Right.
Each community, each space has to figure it out in its own way.
But if we're going by the Clementine's example,
Yeah.
I think open dialogue is key.
Yes.
Honest communication, being willing to listen to perspectives that might be different from your own.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's where it starts.
I agree. And it also requires a willingness to challenge our own assumptions, to recognize that even within a shared identity like being LGBTQ,
Right.
there's so much diversity of experience, of background, of perspective.
Yeah.
Just like me is constantly evolving.
So what does this all mean for the future of gay bars?
Right.
Especially as LGBTQ people thankfully have more options for finding community? Are these spaces becoming less relevant?
That's a question a lot of people are asking.
Yeah.
Some argue that as society becomes more accepting, gay bars will lose their significance.
Or become relics of the past,
Yeah.
like those video rental stores we used to have.
But I think our deep dive into Clementine's and the thesis itself
Yeah.
suggests it's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
These spaces might evolve,
Mhm.
they might adapt to new needs and new generations,
Right.
but I don't think they're going away anytime soon.
I agree. While those core needs for belonging and connection
Yeah.
can be met in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
there's still something unique about a physical space,
Right.
a place with a shared history,
Yeah.
where you can be with people who understand your experience,
Mm-hmm.
your struggles,
Yeah.
your triumph.
It's almost like a historical archive,
Exactly.
only one that's alive.
It's a living testament to a community's resilience, its evolution.
Yeah.
And that's something worth preserving, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I think it's something worth fighting for,
Mm-hmm.
worth working to make even better.
Yeah.
If these spaces are going to continue to be relevant, they need to become even more inclusive.
More welcoming of all the different just like me's that exist within the LGBTQ community.
I couldn't agree more. It's a challenge,
Yeah.
but it's a challenge worth embracing
Right.
because ultimately we all want to feel like we belong somewhere, like
Mhm.
we're seen and accepted for who we truly are.
That's a powerful thought to end on. So to our listener,
Yeah,
we encourage you to continue this exploration.
absolutely.
Seek out the stories of gay bars in your own community.
Yes.
Talk to the people who frequent them.
Hmm.
And maybe even reflect on the spaces that have shaped your own sense of belonging.
Because the search for connection and acceptance is something we all share.
It is.
And maybe, just maybe, by understanding the complexities of spaces like Clementine's,
Yeah.
we can all get a little closer to creating a world where everyone feels like they truly belong.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you.
Until next time, stay curious and keep seeking out those places, those connections that make you feel like you're right where you're supposed to be.